Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Qualls. I'm one of the co-chairs of the GE Task Force. Ana Landano and I would love to welcome you to the task force. We are so excited for this opportunity to work with all of you and to really think of new and innovative ways to maybe redesign, rethink, reimagine the possibilities of a better general education program. So right in this video, basically it's to introduce ourselves, it's to give you a little bit of necessary background information about where general education is right now and some of the changes we'd like to make in the future. This is video form so that you can pause it. You can watch it again if you need to, if it's a little confusing. If you have any questions, of course, reach out to us. And mostly this is to prepare you for some of the work ahead. Ana, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Well, yeah, I'm Ana Londono from, Earth Sciences, Environmental Sciences, faculty member with an eclectic background. So I'm really into gen ed because that's part of what I do as an instructor, but also there's a lot of things here that are kind of dear to my heart. And it's kind of why I wanted to participate in the gen ed committee and now in the GE task force. I'm really glad that I was able to join, and I welcome everybody, that agreed. We're super excited that you all agreed to be in this adventure with us in reimagining what the general education could be at Lindenwood. So we just wanted to welcome you, and we're just going to go over a few things. So to give you some food for thought over the summer. So when the real work begins, we sort of have a common ground or where we are right now and where we want to be. So Melissa.
Thank you. All right, so Ana and I were talking, we've both been on part of the General Education Committee for years now, and we were trying to remember what it was like to not know as much as we do about the General Education program and how it functions right now on a very sort of practical level. So I wanted to catch everybody up, make sure everybody had sort of the same background information. So as you all know, if you advise your students, the general education program, right now, students take 42 credit hours of appropriate general education courses, that fulfill one content ILO and one or more skill ILOs. So this is how it sort of works right now. There are 12 content ILOs, and then over here, the same number of skill ILOs. And as you can imagine, each of these skill ILOs has at least 2, maybe 3 KPIs, which are key performance indicators. These are assessed, their KPIs are assessed. And you can imagine, this is such a complex system, the sheer number of skill ILOs, it makes it almost impossible to communicate the importance of general education to our students. It's just such a complex system. Likewise, it's any kind of meaningful assessment has been really, really difficult because there's just so much to assess and so much information generated that it's really just working with sort of random information and numbers. It hasn't been the best experience. So we want to try to envision a new kind of program that perhaps will align better with our mission and vision as a university. If you want to, you can always follow this link to the complexities and ambiguity built into our current system, because this is the verbiage around it's not great, everybody. Just check it out. If you were a student at Lindenwood University and we were trying to figure out what the general education program, this is not going to help much. Yeah,
nope.
It's not going to help much. So for many, many months now, the assessment committee and subcommittee for reimagining learning outcomes has worked hard, collaborated with many stakeholders across campus. I know they worked with us on the General Education Committee. They reached out to the different departments, different committees and task force to create, edit, and refine new ILO attributes. And this is instead of all of these. Right?
Yes.
These attributes were approved in late April by the board and will be formally introduced to all faculty members in August.
Yes.
And Ana, if you want to share with members some of the exciting changes.
Yeah, so if you don't mind going back to the previous, the current status is, One thing that I wanted to mention specifically for this, if we look how these content ILOs, for example, are built in, it seems like they're siloed, they're disconnected. And it seems just like going through a checklist that you have to know something about natural sciences, something from math, something from lit. But when we talk to our students, one of the difficulties that we have with Jeanette is, and I ask my students sometimes in my class, why do you think you're in this class? And it's like, well, it's a Jeanette that I have to take. I have to take a Jeanette with lab, but they don't see why is it that we have it listed as a class that they should take. So we're missing the mark at that point as we have it listed like this. And is it my time to thumbs up? So it's all disconnected. And what we wanted to do, and the idea with this reimagining of the Jeanette core, let's say, is to be able to make connections for both our students and even our faculty. And basically open the door for many more opportunities of being more creative and collaboration between different departments and schools. So that's kind of the ultimate goal of this. So maybe if we can now move to the new where we're heading, that would be great. So this will be presented again to the whole faculty in August, but we just wanted to give you a heads up of this is where we're heading. And if you notice now, it's not ILOs anymore, it's the new graduate attributes, what the university hopes the students look like, let's say, when they graduate. They wanted to be adaptable problem solvers, responsible citizens, global advocates, and lifelong learners, effective communicators, ethical decision makers, and analytical thinkers. So if you start going over each of those lines, you start to see the way they define it on the left really comprise multiple fields or multiple like content ILOs with the skill ILOs all merged together. And as we look at the definitions they have on the right, they definitely merge several of those in one. So we're starting to see, the work they did for making the connections between those previous ILOs, isolated ILOs, with the skill ILOs to have an attribute that our students will have when they graduate. So I don't want to really go over reading all of them. I'm sure you can spend the time and look in detail about what each of these definitions are, but things that we can highlight are, address and solve issues for today and tomorrow, responsibility of their actions and understand their role in the community. So they're basically connecting with, themselves with and plugging themselves into the community, different diverse perspectives and the impact of the decisions that they make. Meaningful discourse, we're now having so much difficulty in communicating, how would you say that? So opposing views, rather than a confrontation, we need to know how to have that meaningful discourse that we don't seem to have right now in a lot of conversations. So that's one of the things that we want our students to have. Be concerns for others, making ethical decisions, and analytical thinkers in many fields. We tend to drive ourselves in analytical thinking for, math and science, and there's a lot of that in a lot of fields. So the ultimate goal, if we can move just a little bit, is now these Lions are leaders in their careers, communities, and lives. Basically, the pillars of this to reach that goal have our Lions are leaders is all these different, pillars of that they have put together to create a really strong student as they walk out of Lindenwood. Melissa, I'll turn it over to you if you want to add some more.
Great. No, thank you. That was perfect. Absolutely perfect. So what we're going to do as a task force, this is sort of one of our objectives, is to look at ways to map and integrate the new ILO attributes, the ones that Anna just described, into the existing structure and GE courses. However, these new attributes can be kind of a springboard for new and exciting changes. So one of the examples might be responsible citizens, that it could be, this is just, again, coming up with creative ideas. This is not set in stone. But one thing that we had talked about, Anna and I and other members of the GE committee, was thinking about tying somehow responsible citizens to service learning potential and possibilities, some sort of service learning component. President Porter, if you've been listening to any of his little coffee conversations, he has mentioned several times his desire to see more service learning opportunities throughout campus. I know that Christy Rogers has been working on hard on trying to find different and new ways of inspiring service learning opportunities. And so by tying responsible citizens to real action, real outreach, this could be one way to integrate service learning into GE courses and of course, other courses throughout the student's career. Lifelong learner is again another kind of exciting new attribute. It's not really directly tied to any skill ILO that we have right now. And this one could be maybe tied to experiences like internships, study abroad programs, even exciting new interdisciplinary courses and collaborations. So I know that almost every member on the GE committee right now has often wished that there were more opportunities to work with their colleagues across schools, across colleges, to really think of really new and interesting ways of working together so that students don't feel as if these courses are sort of siloed and separate, but more integrated, more connected. Because after all, right, a lifelong learner means seeing the bigger picture. It means listening to a program at NPR and making the connection to what they learned in a world history class with what they learned in an earth science class with what they learned in a literature, seeing the bigger picture, seeing all those connections. So in other words, we have an opportunity to discuss and analyze what is working in our current GE system and program and what isn't, what could be better. And just a quick example of how we're thinking this could work out. So about 6 years ago, I think when the general education program was revamped, 2.5, I'm going to switch back up here real quick. So 2.5 diverse perspectives. As we all know, as advisors, our students need to take at least 2 general education courses that meet 2.5. For 2.5, the DEI task force came up with this beautiful rubric that really laid out some of the components and the criteria for what 2.5 diverse perspectives could be. What happened was the General Education Committee then took that rubric and we built it into the criteria for analyzing what courses meet or do not meet the 2.5 ILO, skill ILO. And what we began to see in the committee were really exciting changes. For example, in philosophy and religion, in English courses, I know that the programs, because of the work of the DEI, because of this new emphasis on 2.5, they began to look at existing courses and tweaking them a little bit, you know, giving them better titles, more interesting titles, more interesting course descriptions. We began to see entirely new courses developed with 2.5 in mind. An example would be Jeremy Carnes's Japanese literature that he's going to be teaching next semester. It's a 200 level general education course. It's really exciting. Dr. Londano has this amazing opportunity for students to travel to study abroad in spring, right?
Yes, spring.
Yes, this coming spring semester that combines 2.5 and
natural sciences.
Kind of natural sciences, like, you know, we usually think of 2.5, oh, that's only for literature, that's only for history. But we've been seeing all these really amazing, rich classes. And what's really cool is that the GE committee is sort of set up to be the gatekeepers. We, because we have this amazing rubric and because we were able to come up with our own criteria, we can sort of analyze what courses meet those criteria and what courses don't. I think that this system, since it's already in place, it's something that could work for the new ILOs like Responsible Citizen or Lifelong Learner. The good news is that Kathy and Robin are working, I think it's Kathy, Robin, and Bethany this summer are working on rubrics for each of these new ILO attributes. So by the time the task force meets in the fall, Each of these should have a good, robust rubric so that we can begin to understand better exactly what components these attributes comprise of, and maybe begin that rethinking, looking at the courses in our schools and our colleges, ones that with a little tweaking can meet these new attributes, and maybe start to think about completely new courses that we could design to meet the new attributes. All right, that was probably a little bit too much information, so I'll hand it back over to Anna.
Of course, so it's the idea, of course, with all these changes and how we move forward, we also have to take into consideration that our students are not starting at Lindenwood. We're going to have some transfer students, and we need to be able to accommodate for that. So that's one of the things that we will take into consideration as we're moving forward with these task force, and not add also much more complexity into the advising, because now it's still quite challenging to advise students, the right way with all the courses. So we want to keep it simple but meaningful. I guess that will be my idea of that would be. And like I said, being able to engage the students to get them to buy in as to why they have to spend like their time and take 42 credits of these gen ed courses, like make it meaningful so they understand the why is that they have to sit in the classroom and take these courses. And same for faculty, have them, get engaged, get excited, open up, opportunities for collaboration, for creating, courses that might look a little bit eclectic, like the one I'm doing. But exactly, just like being able to offer these things so students get excited and see many connections happened in the classroom, as opposed to having these courses taken independently and just to fulfill something, but doesn't necessarily mean it was that meaningful. So we're trying to move away from that and give meaning to why is it that we're doing this. And part of what I like, just briefly, my own personal experience, and I share this with the Gen Ed committee, and Melissa reminded me of that today, was that, I'm an engineer by training, and I took a lot of math, with 6 semesters of math, physics, like all the hardcore science, but I had only one gen ed, one, and it wasn't even great at all. Like I then, get in conversations with other friends, and I see the wealth of knowledge they got from a liberal arts education that I didn't get. I'm fully technical, but I don't have, the arts or the history or literature. I don't have any of that. A lot of math, but yeah, physics and chemistry, great. But so you miss that other portion of what you're having a well-rounded individual, in my opinion. So I think finding better ways to sell that to our students is what these merger connection of new, this new direction that we're taking this general education is, making connections and make it meaningful. So, yeah.
And really, I know this can be kind of overwhelming. We wanted to give you some background information so that everybody was sort of starting on the same page. And maybe if this is too much right now, watch it again before our meeting. We'll be setting up a meeting once we know all of the players on the task force. Will be setting up a meeting for Fun Week, Happy Week, the week before classes begin. So maybe watch the video again before that particular meeting if your brain is a little bit too full right now. Really, all we want you to do this summer is to rest and spend time doing things you love with the people you love. Robin, Elder, Anna, Matthias, Kevin, and I will attend an AAC&U General Education and Assessment virtual learning opportunity in early June. And part of that commitment is our team will produce a campus action plan that the other members of this General Education and Assessment conference will evaluate, give feedback on, and then we'll take that action plan to you and let you know what we came up with. So, but you rest, please. And then just to give you an idea of the other members of this task force, you can tell that, we tried hard to make sure that different colleges were represented, that we have, Kevin Manley, who will be absolutely crucial in making sure that transfer students are protected. And we've got a really great balance, I think, of also staff members who are concerned with the student side of things. So we've got Angie Royal and different non-voting members like Kathy Vosovich, Christy Rogers, that sort of thing. So hopefully we've got this wonderful task force that can give multiple perspectives and, so that we can think big, but also make sure that we're thinking practical, that is doable, whatever we come up with. But basically that's it. We are so grateful for your time and your cooperation and your participation. We very much look forward to meeting all of you in August. So take care, have a great summer.
Yeah, have a great summer, everyone, and thank you. And we look forward, both of us are super excited, and we'll look forward to meeting with you in the fall.
Yeah, excellent. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.